The glow of her laptop screen was Sarah's only light. It was very late, deep into the night of May 20th, 2025. She was bored, scrolling through endless websites looking for something, anything to break the monotony. A strange link appeared on an obscure forum. It simply read, malevolence.net. Curiosity, that dangerous human trait, tugged at her. She hesitated for only a moment before her finger clicked the mouse. The air in her small bedroom suddenly felt a little colder, a little heavier, as if the very atmosphere had shifted with that single click. She pulled her worn blanket tighter around her shoulders. The website finally loaded onto her screen. It was stark, unsettling in its simplicity. A deep black background contrasted sharply with plain white text. It reminded her of old computers from decades past, a relic from a forgotten internet era. There were no flashing advertisements, no sophisticated graphics, no desperate pleas for attention, just a single chilling line of text. Watch if you dare. Below this ominous invitation, a small pixelated play button pulsed faintly. It felt ancient, almost forbidden, and the starkness of the design was more unnerving than any elaborate horror imagery could have been. It didn't try to scare, it merely waited patiently. Sarah's heart began to beat a little faster. She should close it, she knew she should, but an unseen force, a morbid fascination, kept her hand poised over the mouse. With a deep breath she told herself was for courage, she clicked the play button. A short, grainy video began to play. The footage depicted a long, dark hallway, viewed as if through a faulty camera. A door at the far end creaked open, slowly, agonizingly. Nothing jumped out. No monster appeared. Yet an undeniable sense of wrongness permeated the scene. The silence in the video was profound, broken only by the amplified sound of her own quickening pulse. Before she could react, another video started automatically. This one was slightly longer, more focused. It showed a child's forgotten toy, a faded teddy bear, sitting alone in what looked like a dusty, cobweb-filled attic. Its button eyes seemed to possess a disturbing awareness, appearing to follow the camera's every movement. A distorted, melancholic lullaby played softly in the background. Its melody twisted into something deeply creepy. Sarah felt the first real prickle of fear, a cold unease spreading through her. It wasn't outright terror, not yet. It was a growing, insistent feeling that she should close the website immediately, but she found herself unable to look away. The next video that played was starkly different from the previous ones. It was far more intense, the screen filled with rapid cuts, a barrage of flashing, disturbing images. Screams echoed, but they were muffled, distorted, as if coming from a great distance or perhaps from beneath water. Sarah's breath hitched in her throat. Her room, which had felt cool before, now seemed genuinely cold. She glanced towards her window, confirming it was shut tight against the night air. This chill was not natural. It wasn't seeping in from outside. It felt as if it was emanating directly from the laptop screen, from the very air around her. With each new video, the horror escalated. The images became more disturbing, the sounds more unsettling. Faces seemed to materialize in the deepest shadows of the footage. Whispers, faint but distinct, slithered from the speakers, and sometimes, chillingly, they sounded like her own name. Sarah's unease was rapidly transforming into genuine panic. She tried to click away from the dreadful sight, but the back button on her browser refused to respond. The small X to close the window was grayed out, unresponsive. She was trapped. Her mouse moved across the pad, but the cursor remained frozen, stuck stubbornly on the video player. The minimalist design of malevolence.net, initially just strange, now seemed utterly sinister. The stark black and white, the simple, unadorned text, it all felt like the bars of a cage, a digital prison designed to hold her captive. The silence that fell between each horrifying video was no longer empty. It was filled with a low, subtle hum, a vibration that resonated through her desk, up through her chair, and into her very bones. The website's stark simplicity now seemed to mock her rising fear, offering no escape, no distraction from the terror it relentlessly presented. It was a dark void, and it was slowly, inexorably, pulling her in. Desperation clawed at her. She tried to shut down the computer itself. Ctrl plus Alt plus Delete. Nothing happened. The command was ignored. Her hand trembled as she reached for the physical power button on the laptop casing. The instant her fingertip made contact, a sharp jolt, like a powerful burst of static electricity, but far stronger, zapped her finger. She yelped in pain, snatching her hand back. The computer remained on. The website remained on, its dark content continuing to play. The fear was now a tight, painful knot in her stomach. This was no longer just about watching scary videos. Something else, something terrible and inexplicable was happening. Suddenly, the disturbing video that had been playing stopped abruptly. The screen flickered erratically for a moment. Then new text appeared, dominating the display in large, stark white letters. Live, watching you. Below this chilling declaration, a new video player began to load. Sarah stared, her eyes wide with disbelief and a dawning, dreadful understanding. Her heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. Watching who? What did it mean? The loading bar crawled across the screen with agonizing slowness. Each pixel that illuminated seemed to throb with a palpable, malevolent energy. The anticipation was a physical weight crushing her. The live feed finally flickered to life. Her blood ran cold. It was her room, her own bedroom. The video was filmed from a high angle, somewhere near the ceiling looking down. She saw herself. There she was, sitting hunched at her desk. Her face a pale mask in the glow of the laptop. Her eyes, wide with terror, stared back at her from the screen. It was a perfect, clear image, but this was impossible. There was no camera in her room. There was nothing in that corner but the plain ceiling. This couldn't be real. It had to be some kind of elaborate, cruel trick, a nightmare made terrifyingly tangible. She tried again, desperately, to close the browser. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, clicking frantically, mashing the escape key, but it was useless. Instead, a small message box popped up on the screen, black letters on a stark white background. It contained only 3 words, but they were enough to freeze the very marrow in her bones. We see you. She instinctively glanced up at the live feed on her screen. In the video, she saw it, the top of her head. A dark, indistinct shape. It was just behind her screen self, slowly rising, emerging from the deep shadows behind her chair in the video stream. Her own chair. A choked gasp escaped her lips, a sound swallowed by the oppressive silence of her room. Her breath caught in her throat. With a surge of adrenaline-fueled terror, she whipped her head around, her eyes frantically scanning the space behind her. There was nothing there. Just the familiar sight of her empty room, her neatly made bed, her closed closet door, the undisturbed shadows in the corners. But the live feed on the screen told a different, horrifying story. The dark figure was undeniably there, right behind her image in the video. It was getting closer, its shadowy form now leaning ominously over her digital self on the screen. Sarah forced herself to turn back to the laptop screen. Her gaze was locked onto the horrifying scene unfolding in the live feed. The shadowy figure in the video was now almost touching her screen self. One of its hands, long, dark and insubstantial like a wisp of smoke, reached out. It was reaching for her, for the image of her on the screen. Sarah wanted to scream, but the sound was trapped. A silent agony lodged deep in her throat. She couldn't move. She couldn't look away. Her eyes were glued to the terrifying image, watching as the figure on the screen leaned in. And the screen, Sarah's eyes widened impossibly, reflecting a terror beyond human comprehension. Then, just as the shadow was about to make contact, the screen went black, utter, complete blackness. For a fleeting, blessed moment, a wave of relief washed over her. It was over. The nightmare had ended. But the black screen was reflective, a dark mirror. She saw herself, her own face pale and drawn. Her eyes were wide, unblinking, frozen in an expression of pure, undiluted terror. This was not the reflection of someone relieved. This was the reflection of someone who had witnessed something soul-shattering, someone who was irrevocably broken. Her breath came in shallow, ragged gasps, each one a painful effort in the heavy, suffocating silence. The blackness lasted only a few seconds. Then the website reloaded. The familiar black background, the stark white text, malevolence.net. A new live stream thumbnail appeared on the homepage. The title beneath it read, "Live, Now Playing." The video preview showed a different room, an unfamiliar bedroom. A young boy lay asleep in his bed, his small form peaceful under a colorful duvet. The room was dimly illuminated by a cartoon character nightlight, an image of innocence, of tranquility. But Sarah felt a cold, creeping dread. An icy premonition gripped her. She knew, with a chilling certainty, what was about to happen. Then she saw it, in the corner of the new live stream, in the shadows of the unsuspecting boy's room. A flicker of movement, a shadow, her shadow, or the shadow of what she had now become. It was tall and distorted, a dark silhouette against the dimly lit wall. It slowly began to move, creeping stealthily towards the sleeping child. She was the watcher now, an unwilling participant. She had become part of the horror, trapped forever within the digital confines of malevolence.net. The website had a new, terrifying exhibit, and she was its unwilling star, her terror a broadcast for others, the cycle of fear destined to continue.